everyone, it's your girl Amanda the author, and I'm back with another video. Thanks for stopping by to my channel. Today is a slightly different video than what I've done in the past, but it's gonna be something I'm gonna continue to talk about on my channel. And I want to take a little bit of time to talk about some author self-care, specifically a couple bad habits that I have noticed amongst authors recently, and I am extremely guilty of all 5 of these things myself. These are like bad author habits / mindsets that don't really serve your success, your growth, anything like that. And like I said, these are things I'm guilty of, so I'm gonna be fragging myself a little bit in this video, and hopefully these are some habits that we all can let go of and get rid of as we move into 2022. That said, if you're an author or somebody who is looking to get insight into the writing process, the authoring process, including the nitty-gritty, not so nice business aspects of it, go ahead and subscribe to my channel because you're not alone and I'm sure you'll have fun, I promise. So let's get started. Alright, so the first bad author habit that we should definitely try to get rid of in 2022 is perfectionism. Now, this is something I struggle with in every aspect of my life. I am somebody who I don't like to do things if I don't feel like I'll be good at them, or if I can't do it perfect. This has definitely impacted every aspect of my life. Like I said, it's something that I'm working through in therapy, and really being okay with just making mistakes. I've struggled with this in my writing, in baking, and working out. I had a moment where I wouldn't even go bowling because I was like, I'm not good at bowling, so I'm not gonna go do something I'm not good at because I don't want to make a mistake and be that person making mistakes in front of other people. So obviously that's not necessarily the best mindset to have. But as it relates to my writing, this is something that if I get caught up in this mindset of perfectionism, it hinders me, especially when writing the first draft. Because what have we been told? What have we heard, everybody? That your first draft is supposed to be crappy. Your first draft is just supposed to be you, for lack of a better term, throwing shit against the wall, seeing what sticks, and then you can come back and try to make your masterpiece after. But you can't edit a blank page. You can't edit something that is not there. And so I would say it's very important to stop having a perfectionism mindset when it comes to writing, especially your first draft, and even when it comes to your book as a whole. Now, that's not to say that you should just throw things out and not, make it as professional and wonderful as it can be, but always striving for perfection and not looking at your progress or looking at things of this is great as is will definitely hinder your growth as an author and will hinder your growth as a person, I think. So I would say, try to not try not to be so perfect all the time. And I'm saying that as much to y'all as I am to myself. The second author bad habit that we are ditching in 2022 is a fear of uncertainty. Now this kind of goes hand in hand with perfectionism, right? Because it's like you want your work to be well received, you want people to see that it's perfect, but ultimately having this fear of uncertainty can hold you back, because it could mean that you don't put yourself out there, or you don't put yourself out there to your fullest potential and your fullest extent, because you're uncertain of how people are going to take your work, whatever it is. But this is definitely something that does not serve you, because if you are so afraid to shine and afraid of what could happen if you put your work out there or whatever, then you'll never know and you'll just kind of be stuck. And again, all of these things I'm saying to y'all as I'm saying them to myself. This is very much like a self-therapy session for me. I've been pulling tarot recently, and the card that I got was the Two of Swords reversed. Kind of the messaging that came along with that is this idea of being okay in the in-between, being okay with uncertainty, and being okay with that gray area of life of nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow, in the future. I have no idea what's going to happen in a minute. My power could go out. Please no. Please no. Something could happen and I have no idea what's going to happen. But this fear of what's going to happen in the future, and that fear of uncertainty of whether I'm gonna be successful, or whether my book's gonna be well received, or whether, you know, I could put this video out and nobody could vibe with it and I could get no views. But I gotta be okay with that, because I believe in myself, I believe in the content that I'm putting out. And sometimes when you're in that in-between, that uncertain time of not exactly knowing what's gonna happen in the future, it's where you can really kind of figure out who you are and rise to those occasions and ultimately win and shine. The third bad author habit that we are quitting and getting rid of, saying goodbye to in 2022, is judgment. And that is judgment of self and others. Judging other people's choices around kind of the writing and the work, and judging yourself specifically for the choices that you have made and the mistakes that you've made. And again, this is for you, this is for me as well. Personally, this comes into play for me a lot. I'm extremely hard on myself. I'm always kind of judging myself for the things I do and the things I think and don't do, and how how productive I am during the day. Maybe I'll have a Monday that's super productive and the next day it's not, and then I'm judging myself for why didn't I get more done. And it's incredibly important to not do that. It's incredibly important to give yourself grace and to be kind to yourself and others, and to just, maybe you had one productive day with writing and then the next day you didn't, and maybe you didn't write at all, and that's okay. I'm a firm believer that you don't need to write every day to be successful. I certainly didn't, and look at myself. I think that it's also important not to judge yourself when it comes to, like I said, the mistakes that you make, because we're all human, everybody makes mistakes, things happen, and it's important to get rid of that monster in your head that's trying to tell you that you're not shit and you're not doing this right, and, you know, oh, how could you make that mistake? Oh, why didn't you write yesterday? Like, get rid of her. Get rid of her. Don't do that. You're too precious and too wonderful to be constantly judging yourself. Fourth bad author habit that we are getting rid of in 2022 is jealousy / playing the comparison game. Now, I did a whole entire TikTok video about this. It kind of went viral a little bit, where I talked about how one of my biggest flaws, I guess, is constantly, constantly comparing myself to others, specifically other writers, and, you know, evaluating their journey and seeing where they're at, and wishing and thinking and feeling and believing I should be there right now. And that comes with I should be there right now. Why am I not there? I'm not good enough to be there. How could they get there? Like, what have they done that I'm not doing? I'm grinding just as hard. Why am I not there? And also kind of a sense of just extreme jealousy of the things that they have. Again, this is I'm feeling really hot, just kind of putting all of this out there, but I feel like it's important to be completely, like, keep it 100 with y'all, because I figured maybe this could help somebody who's experiencing all of these things and, like, needs, you know, some validation and to know that they're not alone. Feeling jealousy of others is definitely something I've experienced, even with my own author friends. Sorry, friends, I love y'all. But even with my own author friends, I've had moments of just looking at their success and being a little jealous. And something I've learned from therapy is that it's okay to feel the emotion. You should absolutely allow yourself to feel these emotions. If you're feeling fearful, if you're anxious, if you're overwhelmed, if you're jealous, absolutely allow yourself to feel these emotions. It's important to name the emotion. I'm feeling this, kind of get an understanding as to why, and then, you know, let it pass through you instead of dwelling on it, or instead of shoving it down and avoiding it and telling yourself that it is not okay. I'm saying all of this from a standpoint of, you know, allow yourself to feel these things and process them and then move on, but also so that you can kind of talk yourself down when you do have these moments. And again, this is for y'all, this is for me. Try to remind yourself of these things to get over that green-eyed monster girl. Like, get rid of her, and then you'll feel better, I promise. Okay, so the fifth and final bad author habit that we are getting rid of in 2022 is insecurity, aka imposter syndrome here, which is this feeling of I don't deserve, I'm not good enough. Those are definitely emotions that, again, as I mentioned with the jealousy thing, you should, if you feel it, allow yourself to feel it, give yourself the space and the grace to feel this emotion, and then move on. The reality is that every author feels this way. I've never met an author who has not at one point in their career have experienced imposter syndrome or felt insecure. And that insecurity can be from, am I writing the right thing? Are people going to like this? I got really bad reviews. Does this mean I'm not a good author? Is my book shit? Like that mean review said, am I shit? Can I write for shit? You know, if I put out this other book that's not part of the series, are people going to receive it? If I put out an anthology, are people gonna like my story as much as they like everybody else's story? I'm writing a series. What if the second book is shit? What if people don't like it? What if the third book is shit and people don't like it? These are all things that, of course, you might think of, and your feelings around it are valid, but it's important to, again, give yourself the space and grace to feel it and then move on, and to really love on yourself in those moments and understand that everybody has insecurities around themselves, around their work. Fuck, I have insecurities like putting out this YouTube video, you know? I was over here thinking, oh, do I look okay? Is my hair fine? Like, are people gonna vibe with my personality? And along with the fear of uncertainty, having these insecurities could really stop you from shining and stop you from being great. So really, it's important, and I'm, again, saying this for you, and this is for me too, everybody, that, you know, be confident in the things that you're putting out, because nobody else has your author voice. Nobody else is saying the same things that you're saying, or in the way that you're saying it. Nobody else is, you know, has your experience and therefore is able to write characters and stories in the way that you are. So, you know, when you have these moments of insecurity, try to like ask yourself and wonder maybe where they're coming from. Are they coming from past experiences? I know that I've had a great deal of insecurity with my books because To A Stare With Love got a couple bad reviews from a book club that I was in. People that were in the book club read my book and it didn't like the book at all for various reasons. And that was my first real experience with getting bad reviews, and it fucking wrecked me. Like, I cried a lot, I had some chocolate cake, I had a glass of wine, talked to my therapist about it, and eventually I was able to work out my feelings around it. This is also where having good author friends comes into play, right? Because I was able to go to my author friends who have all put out bodies of work, and they were able to say, well, yeah, girl, I mean, welcome to the club. Basically saying, you know, this is something that happens to everybody. Every author has bad reviews. And so it's important to remember that perspective, that not every book is for everybody, but there is a book for everybody. I think something that I have been telling myself a lot when it comes to putting out YouTube videos, when it comes to doing lit bitches, when it comes to writing, kind of anything that I've been doing lately, because it's a whole lot of putting myself out into the world, is just do it scared. You know, I mentioned I'm somebody who doesn't like to do something unless I feel like I'm going to be good at it, unless I can put out my best work. Do you see yourself giving all of this up? And would you rather be in a cocoon and not have to deal with rejection and bad reviews and people not liking the way that your hair parts in your YouTube video and not finding your TikTok videos worth a damn? Or do you just do it scared? Doing it scared is something that you'll have to do, and that's the price of being a creative, of putting your work out into the world, and something I've definitely been working through. Okay, everybody, so just to recap, the 5 bad author habits we are getting rid of in 2022 is perfectionism, fear of uncertainty, judgment of self and others, jealousy, playing the comparison game, and insecurity, imposter syndrome. These things, while it is important to allow yourself to feel these emotions and understand that that is what is happening in your brain when you feel them, it is important to give yourself, like I said, the space and the grace to feel it, understand, try to get an understanding of where these things are coming from, and then just let it go. Just let it go. And like I said, all of these tips, all of these things are to help you as much as they are to help me. These are things that I've struggled with. Oh, I've struggled with them since I became published. And honestly, they're part of why I took a little bit of a break from YouTube. I took time off of Instagram and TikTok because I was just, all of these things were feeling, flooding my brain, and I was just feeling really prickly and unhappy and not myself. That's all I have for y'all today. Hopefully this resonated with you, and hopefully it helps seeing that there's another author out there who is experiencing these things, another person who is like pushing through the fear of uncertainty and insecurity and all that stuff to be creative and to put themselves out there. And if you liked this, go ahead and subscribe. I talk about indie authoring. I talk about the writing aspect of it. And yes, I will be doing some more stream of consciousness type author self-care videos and talking about things that we can overcome to really be our greatest and most wonderful authoring selves. Bye!